Welcome to China Mosaic. I'm your host, Hong Lin. There are always some coincidences that draw people's attentions. At the end of 2012, Barack Obama's victory speech was about the American dream. And in the same month, Chinese President Xi Jinping also stressed the realization of the Chinese dream of national rejuvenation. As national dreams, both American dream and Chinese dream have resonated with its own people. So when an American with his American dream encounters Chinese dream, what kind of ideas will be sparked?
Hello everyone, I'm Obama Ndesandjo.
He is a master of physics, but he does business in China and helps Chinese businessmen accustomed to international rules. He was educated in the United States, but he likes the Chinese classical novel named A Dream in Red Mansions and writes Chinese calligraphy beautifully. He used to live and work in Kenya and the United States, but he's already been a Shenzhen resident for 13 years and married to a Chinese woman. He has a brother in the United States who happens to be the president, but he always keeping a low profile and devoting himself to charity and art. His name is Obama Ndesandjo.
Mark, why did you come to China and did you have a goal at that time?
When I first came to China, I wanted to be someplace completely new, completely different. And I wanted to do something which had to do with helping others. I also wanted to learn about the culture. And I wanted to test myself. And so I'd been in America and Africa, and the only place I really hadn't been was Asia. And I just knew I had to come to China.
Were there many differences from what you imagined China would be like as an opposite to your first impression when you came here?
When I first came to China, I remember that even before I came to China, I didn't know what to expect. I thought that one day, maybe I'd be just here for a few months. The other thing also is, I thought that I thought that maybe people would be wearing special clothes, that they wouldn't be maybe green suits, and special hats, and that I wouldn't be able to make friends easily. But I also knew that I loved the language and also all of the stories that I'd seen on TV about China. And I had to come. And I was prepared actually to, if I didn't make any money, because I had to survive, right? You have to make money to pay the bills. Mm-hmm. I thought that if I really liked it, I would actually shave my head and become a monk. And maybe study in a Shaolin temple, and become for many years. I thought that I could imagine myself, maybe hitchhiking to the Shaolin temple in Henan, and just becoming a monk. I really thought about that, but when I came, it was completely different. Everything changed.
Have you seen any changes of Chinese people and Chinese society since coming here?
Yes, I have seen, for example, a greater sense of confidence among the Chinese, among the people on the streets. Because I think part of it is because they're realizing a lot of the responsibilities that China has in the world as it has grown and as it developed. I think the other thing also I've noticed is the preponderance, the development. The development is incredible. In streets in Shenzhen where I lived, there were very narrow streets with trees, and it's a pity to me actually because those streets are no longer there because of subways and a lot of development and big skyscrapers. I remember once I came back in the morning, I left my home to go to work in Shenzhen, and there were two beautiful trees, right beside the gate. When I came back 8 hours later, there were just two big holes. And I said, what happened to these trees? To the security guard. And the security guard, and I write about this in my book, the security guard said, oh, they were just, we're building a new building here, a new subway, so we had to take out the trees. And I felt really sad because I felt that the environment was damaged because of that. But then it's very interesting, and then I said, oh, that's a shame. And then he said, no, it's just development. It's good for China. And it's interesting because, their strengths and their weaknesses. And the challenge for China, and which I think it's facing right now, is how do you develop quickly and at the same time protect the environment and also keep the beauty of China and its cultural heritage. But there have been other changes too, like the Sichuan earthquake, also the internet, which has done some amazing stuff. I've got Weixin, and WeChat, so I use it a lot. But there are tremendous changes taking place every day.
What kind of Euro impression that China and Chinese people has given to American people?
I think on a personal level, it's very positive. And I think what happens is that, from my perspective, it's that when people, like in any country, when you get to know people face to face, you learn more about it.
Yes.
Americans who come to China have sometimes a very different impression from Americans who have never been to China.
Yes.
And I think that's really key. One thing which I think both countries need to do is to understand more about each other's culture. Americans sometimes tend to be a little insular in the sense that they do need to know more about other countries. But it's not because they're mean, it's because they just haven't been given that opportunity, okay? There are Chinese, for example, who don't really understand America, and they have certain perceptions about America, and they need to go there. I think, however, most Chinese, most Americans, they have great respect for each other's culture. And I'm talking about people on the street. I'm not talking about governments. Okay, I'm not talking about governments. I'm talking about people on the street. And one thing I know personally as an American is that I have been here in China for more than 10 years. And through that time, I've been welcomed by the Chinese people. And I think that's something which I will always remember. There are two things, though, which I think are really important in terms of this understanding different cultures. And I think whether you're in America or in China, the first thing is to understand the culture in which you're in. The second thing is try to help others. If you can do those two things, no matter where you are, you understand and you're happy in the place which you're living.